Scary Alvarez is back. We are talking transfer portal. Oh, yeah. I'm going to do a series of shows in the upcoming days where I'm going to grab a couple of Wisconsin Badger football position groups and then examine the transfer portal commits, the transfer portal losses, and the returners, and then give you a feeling of whether the room is much better, work to do, the same, or much worse. Kind of give you my rating. And of course, this is a little bit of a slippery thing in that there are going to be additions and subtractions as we go forward. But I would say the bulk of the adding has happened. That will continue. And we're going to probably see a couple losses going forward as well, depending on who's brought in. But today's topic, and please throw me a like and a subscription. If you've already subscribed, I appreciate it. You're in the family now. But the Scary Alvarez podcast, like any Wisconsin Badger podcast, is always trying to gain its feet in a complicated YouTube algorithm. So thank you for doing that. Today's show is going to be quarterback, running back, wide receiver. Those are the three position groups that we are going to attack today. Not attack, but cover. It's actually pretty positive. And hopefully there'll be a little more understanding on your end afterwards with the state of the Badgers. We'll do additional shows. The next one will likely have offensive line, tight end, and we'll get to the defense as well. But today, quarterback, running back, wide receiver. All right. You're still with me. We're going to start a quarterback. Look at the room right now. Obviously, if you've seen my recent shows, Colton Joseph is the new sheriff in town. I've made no bones about the fact that I think that is a massively important deal for the Badgers. Having him in, keeping him healthy, obviously, is a big X factor, but it elevates not only the quarterback room and the offense, but the whole outlook for this program. And that's a lot of pressure put on one dude. But for reasons I've gone into regarding his skill set and the production that he has already demonstrated, this seems to be a remarkably good marriage between what Jeff Grimes wants to do and what the quarterback position needs to do to make that offense run in the manner with which it should. Just great stuff. Some breaking news this morning. I'm sure it was known by the staff last night. Carter Smith will be returning. And this is interesting because, some of the conventional wisdom from a few of the areas was that if Wisconsin signed a QB1, a clear QB1 like Joseph, that would mean Carter Smith was gone. This is a big indication, obviously, the fact that he's signing is that Smith understands that he's the backup quarterback going into the 2026 season, and he's okay with it. I mean, he was a true freshman, incredibly raw, running scout team stuff. Suddenly he's thrust into the starting role late in the season, had some mixed results, but always was tough and always seemed to have the team in mind. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty big deal to get him back. And then, of course, we have Ryan Hopkins, who will be a true freshman. He is the well-regarded California gunslinger who, if things go well, will not be seeing the field in 2026. Assuming things will go well for the Wisconsin quarterback position in terms of health is probably a fool's errand at this point. But my remaining question is, will they add one more arm? Not a Hunter Simmons. I don't want to say it's going to be Hunter Simmons. They're going to type guy. They're going to do their homework. But I do think that having four quarterbacks in that room is a necessity. So I do not think that they are done. I think that they're probably going to look for a second string, third string type to play behind Joseph and Carter Smith. There's a lot of quarterbacks in the portal. I think they will be able to find someone. This is not someone who would be an ideal starter, but hopefully someone better than Simmons. My guess is they'll get someone better than him. But overall, looking at the quarterback position as of today, January 7th, I'm going to say that room is going to be in much better shape in 2026. That is not a news flash. That is not a wild swing. But for reasons I've gone into ad nauseum, Carter Smith is a huge, massive program elevator. And, how high his heights will hit, that is TBD. But I like the cut of his jib. and I like the cut of that room going forward. With a small caveat, I think we need to add one more guy. Running back. This is caveat here. There could be more flux in this room going forward, both the coming in and coming out. I'm not suggesting that Dupree and Atuka, I have any sort of knowledge that either one of them or both will be leaving, but there is a little bit of flux still there. Until we hear those, they've been re-signed kind of deals. But bringing in Abu Sama from Iowa State, a really sturdy brick wall, 5'11". He's listed at 210. I think he's bigger. To come in and at least compete for the primary rock toter, I really love that. That's probably one of my top 4 portal ads so far, and that's a very big portal ad room for Wisconsin right now. A lot of Jets on that tarmac. Love his game. He is a lightning fast guy. Some Iowa State fans are complaining about how he runs between the tackles. I mean, I haven't watched tons of video, but what I've seen, it looks like he can hit all the different runs necessary. I like that. He is the Lightning. The Thunder just signed Brian Jackson from USC. 2 seasons left. By the way, Sama has 1 season left. 2 seasons left. He's a really, really sturdy, powerful back, goal line type guy. Probably profiles a little bit more like Atuka of the guys you currently have, and Sama profiles a little more like Dupree. I'm not saying they're the same, but that room right now has Sama, Jackson, Dupree, and Atuka. And then a freshman, Contavious Wiggins, who's a little bit of a wild card. Love his skill set. Love the things I saw on film down there in Georgia. Whether he can work his way into the rotation as a freshman is TBD. I don't know, but they got 5 guys in the room now who could potentially have significant playing time in 2026. They well might be done in the running back room. I don't know that for sure, but it would not surprise me. Obviously, how good your running backs are depend on how good your quarterback is, depend on how good your line is. So I can't isolate it out, but my thought is that the running back room will likely be significantly better in 2025. And that's without a superstar. There's not a Jonathan Taylor in that room. It just isn't. That would be nice to have one, but there wasn't one sitting in the portal. And if there were one in the portal, it would not be in Wisconsin Badgers' improved price range. But yeah, I think that room is going to be better. And that's even with Dylan Jones gone. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so quarterback, much better. Running back room, better to potentially much better. Let's go to the wide receiver room. This is sort of the black hole as far as guys returning. Chris Brooks, Tyrell Henry. Holy crap, is there work to do? Okay, you're bringing in 3 2026 guys, Cash Brock, Zion Legree, Keyshawn Thibodeau. Got a couple of potential boundary players in that freshman class, but relying or expecting true freshman wide receivers to come in and significantly contribute is a big ask. You might get some snaps for 1 or 2 of those guys. Projecting them in as a starter, not a good idea. So it kind of goes to the portal here, guys. And Wisconsin has had a couple of bigger targets that they've missed on. I'm not getting mad at the staff who's in other ways doing incredibly well in the portal, but wide receiver is an incredibly tough sell. And losing Hilton was a big deal. He was going to be a WR1 on the boundary for the Badgers, and he went elsewhere. Hard to blame him. Treshka Kahuna, I think he's fairly easily replaceable. Not that you're going to find a guy faster than him, but I was never blown away by his production, even though it was limited. I wish Tretch all the best, but that's not a big loss. So who we got? 2 so far. Jalen Domingo, Southeast Louisiana, so this is not a high-profile program, but he was an incredibly productive receiver last year. Depending on who you believe, credible sources seem to believe he had offers from Penn State, Arkansas, and Cincinnati sitting on the table. So you're competing with some solid programs for his services. He's a big dude. That's your boundary guy. 6'2", 210. we'll see. The how those situations translate from one to another in terms of a smaller level, smaller division to a bigger one, especially the Big Ten with the quality defenses, is a big TBD. But yeah, I like that pickup. Shamar Rigby, I also like that pickup. And by the way, Domingo has 1 year left. Shamar Rigby, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, wow. I believe like 70 people have transferred from there. Just a wild scene. But this is another boundary, big kid, 6'3", 200 kind of guy. Okay, he had modest numbers, 25 catches, 350 yards, and 1 touchdown. But that was a very dysfunctional Oklahoma State team. And if we're being real here, those numbers in terms of the yardage were bigger than Vinny Anthony's last season. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But he seems like he can move. He had some good offers as well. And importantly, 2 years remaining. It doesn't mean he's going to be here for 2 years. But one notable thing that Fickell and his staff have done this portal cycle is target significantly more guys with 2 or more years remaining. I'll get into the cornerbacks. That'll be a perfect example of his thinking. And not Carter Smith, Colton Joseph with 2 years is also a great example of that. But the wide receiver room right now is still a big time work to do. And that's not a slam on Rigby or Domingo, but between them and the freshmen and then Brooks and Henry, I feel like you went and upgraded your quarterback significantly. I feel like you still have at least one piece. I know you've been working on the boundary. I know that's a very tough position to land a quality guy in the portal. I feel like you need one more. And maybe even another slot guy. I just think this is one of those things where you add pieces because I don't think you're going to get that number 1A. You're not going to get like a Penn State, Ohio State type wide receiver 1. Just not going to get it. So that is work to do. And that's, again, with the thought that Domingo and Rigby or some combination of them will be lining up as a starter day 1. That's where we are. But yeah, so I would keep my eyes open for the wide receiver position in the portal. I think that Luke Fickell and his staff are working to this moment. And frankly, in the next 24 hours, there might be another name added that will somewhat outdate this stuff. But I do think it's important to update you as we go. So in summary, for today's episode, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, quarterbacks, much better position than 2025. Running backs kind of on that border between better and much better. I think it's just going to be a highly productive room relative to 2025 for a number of reasons, not just related to the talent they're bringing in. Having Colton Joseph as a rushing threat takes so much of the pressure off the running backs. It's just amazing. And then a wide receiver, despite the ads that have some upside, much work to do still in the wide receiver room. Anyway, would love to hear what you think. If anything has been updated since I put this up, throw it in the comments. I always appreciate you. And Scary Alvarez is out.